Good evening. You are watching the 7 p.m. edition of the news in the English language on DBS television. On our headlines tonight, revenue collection for the Douala City Council stands at an encouraging rate this far, and it is hoped to get even better within the course of the year. This is the observation and the resolution of the City Councillors who met yesterday, March 31, for this reason in the city of Douala. This is a sole headline for this newscast. Stay with us and get the details when we return in few seconds. Good evening once again and welcome back. If you just joined us, then you are watching the 7 p.m. edition of the news in the English language here on DBS television. I am Cynthia Ngwemo. In the beginning of this news, we get that a man has been arrested in Yaoundé this afternoon after he stormed into the premises of the Ministry of Justice and set on fire several vehicles, including that of the Minister of State, Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seals, Laurent Esso. The reasons for this act are still not clear, though some reports say the man recently lost a lawsuit over a land dispute, and after trying to get the court's decision reversed in vain, he decided to storm the Ministry of Justice and brutalize the vehicles. The identity of the man in question remains unrevealed, and the place of his detention as well remains unknown. Over in the north region of Cameroon, hundreds of families have been rendered homeless that is in a locality in the north region known as Linde. This comes after a forceful eviction of the population and the subsequent destruction of their homes by local authorities. The area concerned is meant to serve for an electricity power plant that will strengthen power supply across the northern regions of Cameroon. While bulldozers ravaged their homes, the population watched helplessly as they were given no prior warning nor compensation, according to them. However, the authorities, like the SDO for Diamare Division, says the demolition is lawful and followed all norms of this activity. You watch as few people struggled to save the little property that was left to be saved so as not to be left completely damaged. And like we told you at the beginning of this newscast, Douala City Council executives are quite satisfied with the outcome of revenue collection for the year 2020. This was the outcome of an ordinary council session which took place yesterday, March 31st, in the city of Douala. Amongst other decisions taken during this occasion was that to do everything possible to ameliorate living conditions for inhabitants of the city of Douala. Let's get the details of this story in the following report with Mange Venasius.
Coming at the time the City Council executive is rounding up 1 year in office, the first ordinary session of the first semester for the year 2021, Wednesday, March 31st, 2021, sat to examine and adopt administrative accounts closed by 31st of December 2020 with 61 City Council councillors out of the 66 in attendance. In his opening speech, the City Mayor Roger Victor Mbassa-Ndini reminded councillors of the difficult moment marked by the COVID-19 pandemic. Douala City Council had reduced the 2020 budget so as to contain the negative incidents of the pandemic from 57 billion francs CFA to 46 billion francs. It is on this new amount that the City Council has been functioning. After deliberations behind closed doors, these councillors concluded that the executive has carried out a marvelous job, especially in revenue collection, an area where the City Council succeeded in attaining 98%.
What's come out from this account is that we have succeeded to generate more income than ever. This is the first time that the city of Douala has more than 40 billion incomes in 1 year, despite the COVID illness. It is very important, and we have also a budgetary surplus of about 2 billions, and this is also more than what was achieved last years.
The senior divisional officer for Vuri Division, Mbutu Benjamin, in attendance, saluted the atmosphere of the discussion that reflects the engagement these councillors have to build a better city in which the living conditions of the population is their preoccupations.
In this year, we have to think that I have the means that they can make more efforts, and the population can see their life to be ameliorated. This is my preoccupation, and in the end of this session, I'm very, very satisfied.
A laudable initiative, especially at this challenging period of COVID-19. Among other issues, deliberations considered all projects aimed at ameliorating the living conditions of the population, those intended to give a facelift to the city and to reinforce security measures. The city mayor lauded the councillors for their scrupulous and meticulous examination of every item.
The Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manawuda Malachi, has received a consignment of some Type C medical ambulances in the number of 15, adding up to the 10 others of Type B which were received in February in the littoral region. This brings the number of ambulances to 25. He stresses that these acquisitions fall within the framework of the government's response plan against COVID-19 made with the financial assistance of the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP. The ambulances shall be dispatched to the 10 regions of the country in the days ahead, according to the declarations of the minister. And his counterpart, the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife, has officially launched a new digital platform to facilitate the flow of information as well as the control of the forest sector in Cameroon. The launching took place yesterday in the town of Yaoundé, as Ate Bonaventure reports.
The official launching of the second-generation computerized forest information management system paves the way for a more efficient and transparent follow-up and management of forest resources in Cameroon.
GIF2 is one of the greatest, one of the most ambitious reforms of these last 20 years in the sub-sector of forest. And we are really proud to launch it today. And it has many advantages. You have the state will realize financial gain by avoiding funding editing secured documents.
According to the Director of Forestry, the advanced digital system, if well coordinated, will serve as guide for the traceability of certified and non-certified forest systems and facilitate control at checkpoints.
We'll have a better mastery of a wood product because of very close control on the field and in our forest management unit. And this is an important tool to fight corruption and all those malpractice you know very well.
The wood sector remains promising and stands as one of the lead elements of advancing government's job creation policy and economic growth. The government of Cameroon and partners are poised to ensure that all logging activities respect laid down rules and norms and benefit local communities.
Members of the Budget and Finance Committee at the National Assembly have met in a 2-day capacity building seminar organized for the finance and budget control. This event is taking place with the support of the Advanced Program of Specialization in Public Finance. We have Ate Bonaventure once again give us details about that story.
The training session to reinforce the capacities of members of the Finance and Budget Committee of the National Assembly unfolded under 4 main articulations. They include the impact of the COVID-19 at national, sub-regional, and international levels, regions as part of the decentralization process in Cameroon, stakes and perspectives of national development strategy, as well as the new mission of the Parliament in public policy evaluation.
In part of our regular session activities of the Finance and Budget Committee, we always try to organize a training to build our session on economic topic that can give us a plus in our parliamentary control mission.
The exercise falls within the partnership between the National Assembly and the Advanced Program of Specialization in Public Finance. It aims at giving lawmakers more insights and skills in the efficient follow-up and control of public finance and promote good governance.
That rounds it up for news within the Cameroonian borders, and now we shall end up with news out of Cameroon, though still in the African continent. In Niger, several people have been arrested in connection to the attempted coup d'etat which took place early yesterday, just days before the swearing-in of President Mohamed Bazoum. And in Ivory Coast, the International Criminal Court has upheld the acquittal of ex-President Laurent Gbagbo over crimes related to war and human rights abuses. Finally, in the Ethiopian region of Oromia, at least 30 people have been killed in attacks which occurred carried out by some gunmen. Rogeatu Buba has details of these stories in the Africa Roundup page which follows.
In Niger, several people have been arrested in connection with a coup attempt early yesterday, just 2 days before the newly elected president, Mohamed Bazoum, is to be sworn into office. According to the government spokesman, Abdurrahman Zakaria, the government condemns the cowardly act that aims to endanger democracy and the rule of law, which the country is resolutely committed to. The last successful coup took place in February 2010 when armed soldiers stormed the presidential palace, overthrowing strongman President Mamadou Tadja. In 2016, authorities said 4 military officers had confessed to planning an attempt to overthrow the government. In Ivory Coast, the International Criminal Court yesterday upheld the 2019 acquittal of ex-president Laurent Gbagbo on charges of crimes against humanity. Prosecutors argued that errors were made by war crime judges who found they failed to prove their case against Gbagbo. More than 3,000 people were killed after Gbagbo refused to accept defeat by his rival, current Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara. According to Amnesty International West African researcher, the acquittal meant the court has held no one responsible for atrocities committed during this period. Gbagbo still has strong support in Ivory Coast, and his followers say they have been left out of the country's reconciliation process in the years since his ouster. In the Ethiopian region of Oromia, gunmen killed at least 30 civilians in an attack, the latest outbreak of ethnic violence to challenge the federal government. According to the residents of the area, the place had no security cover from government security forces at the time. Local authorities blamed the attack, in which 15 people were injured. The state-affiliated Ethiopian Human Rights Commission said the latest attacks on civilians shows that the security situation in the area has not improved and is instead spreading to neighboring regions and causing additional human rights violations.
That brings us to the end of this edition of the news, which is the second to the last for the week. See you tomorrow for the last edition with me, Cynthia Wemo. Thanks for watching. Stay on DBS television and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.